Just want to talk for a few minutes while I got some time and while I got some things in my mind. And it's funny because I did a video one time ago just talking about how women are like cars. And of course, I'm not the only person who's done a video like that before, but I obviously had my own perspective on it. And I think you guys and gals should check that video out. For those on replay, you can check that out in the description section, those previous videos. I think y'all like them. But with that said, this video is sort of similar to that, but just want to further expand upon some things. So, um, my main thing about all of that I want to speak on basically is, yeah, in regards to a woman, real women, not typical females, but real women are built, not bought. Now, typical females, yeah, they like to be bought. You got to do all this stuff for them. You got to put out a lot of money for them, things like that, right? But with a real woman, it's about the building process, or more of what I would like to say the molding process, right? But keep this in mind. This is also what I want to add to all this. Even a Rolls Royce has to be built before it can be bought. So there you go with that. And then by the time one buys the Rolls Royce per se, it was money well spent. So it wasn't really that it was about actually buying a Rolls Royce. It was more so about the experience of acquiring a Rolls Royce, which the customer gets involved in the building process of the Rolls Royce. Like you get the hands-on experience of doing that. Uh, so that Rolls Royce per se was not necessarily a car that person bought. That person was paying for the building of that Rolls Royce versus just buying one. Now you buy a Rolls Royce, usually it's based on it being a used Rolls Royce, and hopefully it's still of good quality, but it has depreciated some. But depending on how it's been kept up, its resale value isn't that bad at all, right? So there's that. A lot of times one talks about resale value. It's just based on the quality and the reliability of that vehicle. Those two things matter a lot. In regards to the feminine, it's actually no different, based on her quality and her reliability of just her being a certain way around that man. Otherwise, you get another type of feminine who always talks about how she's high maintenance. Well, you're high maintenance because you're always having breakdowns. So her nervous breakdowns, like who wants to deal with that, right? Who wants to keep dealing with that? So y'all see where I'm going with this. Real women are built, not bought. So I want to add more to this because, in the sense of the way she is built, there's something I wanted to add to all this. I wanted to say that you have to be realistic about how that is in regards to her. Now we live in a world where nothing is ideal. You're not going to necessarily find the Rolls Royce type of a feminine as far as when a man building her up from the ground up. Basically, she's being of a certain age to where he can actually cultivate her a certain way. Well, in a sense, it's more like a rebuild process in regards to the cultivation of the feminine in these days. So I say, ladies, this is where really your test of submission really comes into fruition, right? As far as you letting that man, if you will, rebuild you. You got to think of how you've been built over the years and how you weren't of great quality. You look at all the stuff that you've been through in your life, all your experiences, all the guys that you've had in the past, your family, all this that's led you to be a certain way before you got around this guy. And then you tell him, well, you got to accept me as I am. That's like a car, and a guy has to accept that car as is. Now, a man taking that car, he can do one or two things. He can just treat that car like scrap, treat him like crap, Or he can say, you know what, I can make some improvements. I can see some refinements on this car. I see some potential. I want to do more to it. And so, ladies, if a man sees you in that light, let him go from there with you. When you just tell him, hey, let him take you in as is, then that's telling him that he can just pretty much treat you like crap or scrap. So never let a man take you in as is. You know, like as far as just that's all you're going to amount to. No, you want to amount to more. You want to be more, especially around him and especially for yourself. You know, just know that there's more to life than just where you've been, the people that you've known, the type of lack of love experiences that you've had. Now, this guy's trying to show you more. He's trying to really build you a certain way, rebuild you. You know, not in a sense where he felt like he bought you for next to nothing when, you know, at the same time, ironically, he should have bought you for next to nothing. What I mean by this is most guys get tricked, right? You're trying to treat a gal a certain way and he still gets tricked, right? So he ends up putting a lot of his resources out on the gal where he bought her next to nothing per se, as far as he put a lot of money on her and what he got out of it was next to nothing from her, right? Just like certain cars that, you know, they will always remain lemons, not lemonades, right? But then again, you being a certain way as a real woman, not a typical female, uh, you can be like, hey, I don't require that much, you know. So basically, going back to the next to nothing idea, right? You're just like, I don't, it ain't, you don't have to do all that to impress me. All you have to do is just show me that you want to love me and stuff, because that's really what I need. But that involves our connection. You know, as I like to say, through the connection is the understanding, right? So just without things being said, a lot is being done. And so that's what I mean by this idea of real women are built, not bought. Just like a certain car a guy likes, right? And here's the other catch. So this is what I really want to say, because you might have a guy who has a Honda, but he's trying to make it run like a Bugatti, right? Like go faster than the Bugatti, and yeah, they can do that, right? But at what expense? You got now a car that's gonna have an engine that will blow up because certain cars aren't built originally to be putting on all that horsepower, right? So you're overdoing it. So basically, one is making that car be something that it's not in the form of that after the rebuilding, one has realized this. Because your car, yeah, it might have kept up with the Bugatti, but the engine blown up. Whereas the Bugatti was made to run a certain way without the engine blowing up. It was made to go at 300 miles an hour without the engine blowing up, you know? But you got this Honda Civic and you put so much boost, so much juice in it. Yes, the nitrous, you did all that. The boost being the turbos, you know. So you did all this to keep up with the Bugatti. And all I'm saying is, fellas, keep this in mind when you're cultivating the feminine. Uh, don't do too much to where she really ends up something that she never was nor never ever could be. There should be more or less an epiphany that takes place for that particular feminine. Despite how much more you want from her, as far as the good that you see in her, the potential that you see in her, she might not realize that herself. So she'll just never live up to a lot of things you might have in mind for her, because that's just not in her mind, literally. Like, you know, you end up going to exceed a lot of what was intentionally for her to continue to be like. So, what I mean is, gals want greater men, whether a high value man or a high vibrational man. But a lot of gals need to realize you might have to get on a guy that's on your level per se, level out on that level. Like you're not made for certain altitudes, baby. Just like you know, some people are not made to be driving Bugattis. Some people are made to be driving those Honda Civics I just told you about. So, you know, baby, you might be like a Honda Civic type of chick. It's cool. You're gonna find a dude that will take care of you in that light. Whereas, you know, a certain guy, he might need to be around a gal that's more like that Bugatti or more like that Mercedes. You've been, uh, I said, man, you've been dealing with a lot of buy here, pay here type of chicks, right? Like, you know, you didn't go for what you should have been going for all this time in your life. You've been settling for less, right? And that's not to say that a certain gal in a certain car is lesser, but you were made for greater things. greater cars, greater things in life, greater women. There's a certain level, certain altitude you're supposed to be in at. And the attitude determines the altitude. What is the attitude? In the airplane world, attitude is the angle of the trajectory of the aircraft. So depending on how it climbs in altitude or how it descends in altitude, you got to keep that in mind. Like, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, as far as you wanting to be around a man that's going to build you and not him having to per se buy you per se, right? And then guys, like, you just wanting better to know that, hey, this gal, I want to build her. It goes back to a lot of my captain and ship analogies too. Captain relating to the ship relationship, because that's really what this is all about, right? Someone that you can connect with. But at the same time, you're not over exceeding what her capabilities are as far as what she's able to do for you, the way she's able to be there for you, the way she's able to uh, love you a certain way, right? Like just in her own way of who she is individually. You just don't try to exceed it. I think as a man, you kind of know what that is like. And then ultimately, ladies, it's this. You're either going to say, I can't go beyond that. I love you and I really got a lot of love for you, but I think this is as far as I can literally go. Like literally, I can't go further than that. And okay, it's no hard feelings. It is what it is, right? Or you just going to say, you know what? I'm going to figure this thing out because I really want to continue to love you and I want you to continue to love me. And we're going to figure this out. Like, whatever it takes, whatever the rebuild is, without it pushing me too much out of whatever my character is or commonality of who I need to be around you. Like I'm willing to learn, and that is of high esteem. And to be honest, like with the feminine, like you're not obligated to do that. Like if there's a certain way you can't be with that man, even if he has great intentions and even if he means well, you just know you can't go beyond that, and that's okay. That should be a conversation had, but a lot of times that's not. It's usually more or less through her actions. He realizes that he's not going to get any more out of her a certain way. Like he's literally seeing it through her actions. Like in the car world, they call that one's performance. Her performance is only going to get so high. Her performance is only going to be at a certain level, and it is what it is. So. Uh, but yeah, you're not trying to push her a certain way because ultimately you don't want her what blowing up on you. Just like certain cars, they be trying to over exceed the performance. Let's not talk about all these diesel pickup trucks they be trying to race, but they be trying to put too much pressure and boost in them, and then you get a blown up Cummins engine in front of your face. Hopefully, it didn't blow up in your face, right? And you just you realize, hey, I see where it's going with her. This she can only do this much and be this way with me, and you just back off smoothly. You try to be classy. You don't hold no hard feelings. You try your best not to. And of course, easier said than done. I speak from experience, but at least I'm giving y'all an idea of how it should be, how it could be, if you keep a lot of what I just said in mind about how the feminine, real women are built, not bought, right? Because in the sense of you really building a real woman versus a typical female, you'll be able to get close insight on the right specifications for her application in your life. Like when a man is really taking his hands onto the car and he's rebuilding it, remolding it, the body panels and doing the pistons and the spark plugs and all that. He's breaking the whole engine down, and now he's like really starting to see, okay, how can we improve here? Maybe we can't improve there, but we could kind of work around that a little bit. And so amongst like the feminine, the relationship relating to the car per se. Uh, let's have some conversations. We spend all this time thinking we got to go to a counselor when we really should be of good counsel. As far as how we consult. How we can be of that to each other, if you will. Like what they say, like certain people that want you to talk to them offline. Consultation. There you go. Like, how come we can't be of a good consultation, right? Like if we talk about everybody being their role, if we talk about things traditionally, well, ladies, that man's going to be trying to mold you and rebuild you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so these are things that you can talk about with yourself. So some gals would be like, well, that sounds kind of one-sided. Well, actually, no, it's not. It's more or less like you're the canvas and he's the artist. He can tell you how he is as far as the type of artist that he is and the energy that he brings to that paintbrush to put upon your canvas, right? And so you're getting an idea about who he is from that standpoint. And you want to know that he does have a sense of emotion about you. Like there's some emotion about you in the way that he's trying to design you, right? Because women are designed, men are engineered, right? But see, that's another conversation, right? But that's what it is. These conversations need to be had. But a lot of times with the feminine, a lot of them being that we got to get to know each other phase, and that can last for a long time. When I like to say grow to know instead of get to know. So really, as we're growing more in this build or rebuild, we're just starting to break things down and piece it back together. Some gals say they feel broken by a certain man, but if he's having a good heart and he means you well, he's not trying to break you in a bad way. He's just breaking things down about you so he can repiece things, put things there that should be there about you in your life and how that will impact his life. Because if he's going to have you to be in his life a certain way, well, he's going to need you to be rebuilt or to be a certain way, like to be redone. So a lot of things about you uh, that came his way, there will be some rearranging of things. That's not to say he's going to totally remove everything that is you. No, there's things that he was attracted to about you. So a lot of that will be retained, but all in this idea that, hey, we're shifting things around based on a lot of things that attracted me to you that we can improve upon, right? So, but these are conversations that are hardly had. But I hope that going forward, people can start to think about how we can have these kind of conversations going forward. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot more arguments, a lot more circular conversations. Let's start moving forward, y'all, especially in regards to love. Men being their role, women being their role, and hopefully this video helps y'all out with that. Thanks a million for stopping by. Catch y'all on the next one.